Hello guys, this is CodeNCode and this is second lecture of our foodie restaurant backend project, right? That we are going to be that we are building using Spring Boot, of course. So in this lecture, we are going to basically install MySQL server, and then we'll connect the database with our application, right? So I'm including the installation part because there are so many students who face difficulty installing MySQL server or database, right? So that's the reason I'm including that also in this lecture, and then we'll connect the database to our application, right? So let's get started. So first thing we are going to do is going to install MySQL server. So if you head to your browser, yeah, here, search for MySQL uh, database download. Just search anything, right? Okay, this is the home page for the download. Right, and at the bottom side, you will see this MySQL Community Edition. Okay, this is the one that is freely available and we can use. Just go ahead and download it. So you'll get a lot of options. Since I'm on the Windows machine, I'm getting an option of Windows installer. Right, if you're on Mac, you'll get the same option for the Mac. Okay, then just download it. You will get two options, one of which is the online installer, is only of 2.1 MB. So basically you can download it. Then at the time of installation, you could ask what component you want to install, and then at the runtime, it will download those components from the internet. That's why it's only 2.1 MB. And this is the one that already comes with this version of MySQL, right? So we are going to download this one. Yeah, start the right download. Okay, SQL. ठीक है, done. So just wait for it to get downloaded. Then, sorry, almost done. Yeah, so you can run it directly. Right. Okay, the installation process has begun. Just click yes, yes. And important part are these. So how do you want what the components are that you are looking to install, right? Server, client only, full or customized. So let's go for the customized version. So then we can select what components we want to install. So of course we need the server. So this is the server. Add it here. This is the thing that will be installed. And from the application, we'll need the Workbench, of course. Workbench is the GUI application, GUI application that you can use to, interact with your database. That's why very important. And also, I want the shell. You can execute queries on shell and documentation. I'll go with the samples. I mean, this is not necessary. If you want, you can. I just am adding some of the examples. Okay. Since I had already long time back had installed this, so this already exists, but it doesn't matter. This will basically override anything that already exists in this directory, right? So I'm fine with that. Yeah. So now it's going to install. Everything is already downloaded. That's why it's directly going to install, right? If you had downloaded the 2.1 version of it, it would first download it, then install. Okay. I think this one is going to take most of the time. The rest will be taking much less time to install. Okay, 70, 75, 81, 84, 90, da, 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 done. Okay, this part also done. Almost. Okay, it's taking a bit of time. That's fine. So once we have downloaded once we have installed it, we'll take a look at the workbench, okay, and see how you can connect to your database. There you can also see the connection string to your database, using which you can connect your Spring Boot application to your SQL database. MySQL shell and some of the examples. All right. Just a second. Mhm. It's taking a lot of time to install. I've tested it earlier. It was not taking as much time because maybe because I'm recording the screen at the same time, and that's why some part of the process is already busy doing some other stuff. There's a reason it's taking more time. Okay, done. Click next. Ready to configure MySQL Server and examples. Okay, let's configure MySQL Server first. Okay, so leave this as it is. You can see the port number is 3306. You'll find it later. Right, it's using TCP/IP. Just leave everything as it is. You don't have to change anything here. And use the strong password authentication recommended. Leave it as it is. Now here you can create the username and password for your database. Okay, you should use in production, of course, a very strong password. Here I'm going to use only root and root. Okay, password is weak, I know. So root password. So the password is root. Again, in production, of course, you are going to use better password. Now we don't need to change anything here. That's next. Run full access running Windows. Yeah, yeah. And execute. These are the things it's going to execute now. Writing configuration files that we have just written, updating Windows firewall rules, adjusting Windows service, initializing database. This step may take some time. So it's initializing the database so you can connect using the either using this shell or using the GUI application that is our Workbench. Okay, let's finish it. As far as I know, good launch. Yeah. So username is root. Password, I've already added as root. All right. And this should be the last step. Okay. Almost done. Running the scripts, checking it there. Done. Next. Yeah, finish. All right. So this you can see this is how the workbench looks like. This is called MySQL Workbench. This is basically GUI application to connect to your database. And as you can see, there's already one of the connection there. This is the connection that we have created. So this runs on 3306 port number, right? So if you open it, it will ask for the password that you have entered as root. Okay, so this is the database. This is MySQL server in which we have three databases. Uh, Sakila, Sys, and World. If you open it, you'll see there are tables, views, stored procedures, functions, and in the tables you can see there are three tables. So city, country, and country language. So if I right click on it and click show select certain rows, so it will select these many rows. As you can see, the limit is set to 1,000. That's why it is fetching only 1,000 rows, right? Same way you can change it. You can set the limit here also, like limit 2. I only want 2 records there. So if I execute it, you see only 2 records are coming, right? So this is your database server, and these are the databases. So another question is how you connect this database to your uh, Spring Boot application. This is fairly easy, to be honest. First thing first, let's go there. So this is where where we left our application last time, right? Now, so first thing is that you need to make sure that your application is ready to connect. How do you do that? Since you want to connect to MySQL server, first thing you need is update the dependencies. You will need MySQL connector dependency. So if we go ahead and download it, yeah, here, right? So if we go ahead and download it, yeah, just search for MySQL connector J. Maven dependency, right? So J stand for Java, MySQL connector slash J, right? MySQL connector J is a JDBC type 4 driver. JDBC again, Java database connect, Java database connection. Okay, so click on any of the dependencies that you want to add, and then select this, the dependency, Maven dependency, and add it back in your application. You don't need to specify the version, to be honest. Yes, and then just refresh it. Okay, you can go ahead and sync project. All right, now it will sorry, it will download the dependency and add it to the project. We are done with this. Now once you have the MySQL connector, your project is ready. basically able to connect to the database. Now you need to specify which database to connect to. For that, you need certain properties like you need to tell the application what is the password, what is the name, what is the username, what is the password, and what is the connection string, where to find your database. That is your connection string, right? So that properties you define here in the application.properties file, which should be located inside the resources folder. So here in the application dot properties file, these are the properties you need to define. To be honest, only these three. The above and below are actually optional. So first you need to tell it the URL. So spring.datasource.url.username.password. These are the three properties which are compulsory. So you can define the URL here. So how do you get the URL? Go back to your home, just right click on it. You'll get copy JDBC connection string, right? So just copy that, go back here, add here. Okay. I don't want to add user details here, though you can do that. I'll add user details here. So user is root, password is root, as I told you earlier, right? You should use first. You should use a strong password. Second, you shouldn't record yourself writing your password, right? So first thing, we are going to connect to this server, but I want to connect to a specific database. I want to connect to world database. So go back there, /world. Okay, now it would connect to the world database. And this is the username, this is the password. Now, what are these two properties? First, let's talk about this Spring JPA show SQL. So this, if you have set it to true, what it's going to do, your application anytime it is executing any SQL statement, setting it true would make the application log that statement into console. Okay, so anytime you are executing any SQL statement, it will log it now, so you can see, right, the statement. And now DDL property I have set to update. There are many other value you can set it to. I've set it to update, what means that JPA, what it will do, anytime when you make any changes in your application that is going to affect database, like adding a new class, right, or removing certain column from the class, anything that you are making change that affects the database, you need to make changes there, right? So if you want to connect to a database and read certain class or add a new class, how do you do that? You'll go here and create a new class here, right? You'll write a statement, create a new class, write a statement and create a new class there, right? One way is this. The other way is just add a class entity here and let a Spring Boot do the rest. For that you set the DDL auto to update. So any changes that you make which might affect the schema of the database, it is going to make changes into the schema and update the database for you. You don't have to do anything. All right. Now, if we go ahead and connect to the run this application, it would successfully connect to it, but won't execute any SQL commands because there are none. So as you can see, there are no error, which means you're successfully connected to the database. Right. Let's stop it. Go back. Now, let's create a class. Uh, as you can see, we only have three tables: city, country, and country language. Right. If let's go ahead and create a new table. We have three tables here. Sorry, uh, city, country, and country languages. Let's create a new table. So what happens is that the tables you can define in Spring Boot itself. So you can define a class. It will tell it that it needs to be translated into a new table into the database, and Spring Boot will do the changes into the database itself. Right? How do we do that? Uh, for that, you need to define a class which is an entity, and then Spring add a new dependency that is data JPA. So JPA does all the work of conversion from a normal class to a table, right? So if I go back here and search for uh, data JPA main dependency, okay, you can directly, okay, let's just directly go here and see this is Spring Boot starter data JPA. It is available as a starter dependency. So you can go ahead and add Spring Boot starter dependency here. Okay, just refresh the project. Yeah, okay. So Spring Boot data JPA has been added. Now, what you can do, you can go ahead and define a simple Java class. Let's call it food item. All right. Yeah. And annotate it to tell Spring Boot application, Spring Boot, or to tell Spring Boot data JPA that this is going to be a table in the database. You annotate it with entity. Okay. Right. Now you can define things here like uh, uh, and this is food item. Let's say uh, string item name. All right. And since this is an example, let's say int uh, sorry, integer quantity, integer price. Okay. Now it's giving an error because we haven't defined any what do you say, key property here, ID basically. I forget the name of it. The important thing, uh, primary key. We haven't defined any primary key here. So let's say the name itself is the primary key. So at the rate ID. Okay. Annotate it with at the rate ID, and it will understand that this thing you want to use as the primary key. You can define getters and setters. And since we have defined all of them non-private, we don't even need getters and setters as of now. So as you can see here, we only have three tables: city, country, and country language. So if we have added a class and we have told Spring Data JPA that this is going to be a new table inside the database, right? So if you run this application, right, first thing you can see the statements being executed. Yeah, as you can see, it has logged things here, and here you can see statement, right? So create table food item. So it has created food item table there, and with these specifications. And all of this log you can see because in the application property you had set show SQL to true. Now if you go back here, as you can see, oh, there's no table because we haven't updated it yet. If you refresh it, you see food item table has been created here, right? So this is the beauty of data JPA, that you don't have to do anything. It would do the conversion for you. It would make the changes in the database schema itself to cope up with the changes that you have made. And that is all because of TDL property that we have set here to update. The other things that you can set it, I'll explain later. I'll explain all how this works, how you can add new items, what is data JPA, everything in detail in the next lecture. All right. So yeah, this is it for this lecture. Thank you guys for watching. Until the next video drops, keep coding. Thank you.